Portal 2. Portal 2, just like its predecessor, is about solving puzzles. But unlike its predecessor, it's more story related than the first one, so it involves more running around doing nothing, gameplay related.
Try to avoid the garbage hurtling towards you. You don't have to test with the garbage. It's garbage. Press the button again. This next test involves the Aperture Science Aerial Faceplate.
There are a bit of a variety of different tests to solve, but none of the tests are hard or anything. It's kinda really easy, to be honest. Mainly because they took away this. In the first game you could select advanced chambers or challenging modes in the game. Challenging mode as in the least amount of portals, the least amount of time, or the least amount of steps. But in Portal 2 the only challenging thing that exists are portals and time. No advanced chambers can be played or anything. And because of that not existing makes Portal 2 one of the easiest fucking games ever made, because they're really showing the player extremely well how you're supposed to solve the puzzles. You don't really need to think at all. It's extremely easy. I mean, none of the things are particularly hard in this game. Even the boss battle is really fucking easy to figure out yourself. I mean, they even show it to you almost. I mean, not literally, but almost. But anyway, in the first quarter of the game feels a bit. I mean, the test feels a bit off. There isn't really that much change from the first game. It isn't really that big of a variety either. But but after the second, I mean, in the middle of the game, it started getting more interesting because of all this yell and shit are started to pour into the chamber, and it becomes, better. But then of course it kind of continues like this to the end of the game. I mean, the tests are kind of slow in the beginning. I mean, they're not really all that good, but later, after the middle part of the game, when you return to the old place of advertising, you get all this yell and shit. It starts getting better. And like I said, it's more the Portal 2 is more story related than gameplay related, because most of the time you will spend most of the time just, I mean, not really most of the time, but a lot of the time just watching big set pieces, not really solving any puzzles or anything. I mean, you solve puzzles at the beginning of the game. I mean, it begins just like almost Portal 1 began. I mean, with some couple of slow tests here and there, and then it ended. But after it ended, it like continued in Portal 2. I mean, the first quarter of the game almost played out identical how Portal 1 played out. The only difference was when Portal 1 ended, Portal 2 didn't end. And after that, during the middle of the game, where you're in the early parts of the science and are with caveats and all this shit, and then it starts getting better the game. New things in the test. There are a couple of new things, but not a hell of a lot of new things in the test. It's this gel thing and lasers and catapults, I guess. That's about it. If I don't have forgotten anything. And that's really everything about the gameplay. It's really fucking easy. Maybe in the co-op it changes. Maybe it's harder then, but I didn't really play co-op with it because I didn't have time with it, and because it's really an extra thing. But just Portal 1, it's not gameplay wise, it's not really that good. It's extremely easy and doesn't require so much thinking, more like just looking really. And yeah, it's pretty slow in the beginning, but after the middle part of the game it starts getting better and ends that way kind of good. But story-wise then, one of the main differences between the two games are the atmosphere. I mean, in Portal 1, the atmosphere solely relied on how much time you spend in the test chambers. I mean, how long you took for you to solve the tests. And it all depended on how fast the player were. But in Portal 2, it doesn't really rely on that, because GLaDOS will insult you and everything, and this guy Whitley will kind of insult you as well. And I mean, it's part of the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is, a lot better because it doesn't, rely on a thing that, you know, relies solely on the player. So yeah, the atmosphere is better, I guess. Then I mean, it works better. You can say that they kind of tries a bit too hard with the atmosphere, a bit too hard, really. I mean, with Whitley and everything. And I don't know about Whitley or Wetley, what the fuck his fucking name was. he doesn't seem like a personality core. But that's just me. I mean, a personality core should just have one personality. Because he have, one personality in the first quarter game, but later when he, spoiler, takes over the fucking facility, he he shifts personality, and he doesn't seem like a personality core anymore. But that's just me, so I'm not gonna count it in the review. With characters, there aren't really any kind of characters anymore. I mean, Glarus, I mean, how she reacts, and how the game reacted in the beginning of the game with this, apocalyptic, this other computer talking, and Wetley. It's all. I mean, they are just talking about the atmosphere. They are not, insulting it because there is bad characters. They are just trying to make the atmosphere good and make you feel immersive. That's why you can say you can't say that they might try a bit too hard because they never fucking stop. The only other character, I mean, the only character that you can say it's a fucking character is Cave Johnson, which they introduce in the middle of the game, which is very good to be honest. But they never really talked about it after the sequence or act where you heard him and listened to him and everything. And they never really took him up ever again, so it kind of feel like they don't really have anything to play around with anymore with him. So that feel kind of bad. But he was a good character. He was a very good character. Which is also just like the gameplay. The first quarter game, it's not really all that good, or it's not really on the same level as the rest of the game. In the first quarter, you don't really have this kind of, well, like I said in the first review, that with Portal 1, it ending, it wasn't anything to really expect because everything, it was no loose ends or anything they could continue with. It ended. The end, it was a good ending, not no loose end or anything. But what are they going to continue with? So they started with Portal 2. You didn't really have anything to keep you hooked in the first quarter game. But late in the second quarter, when you are thrown down to the early stages of Aperture Laboratories and meet Cave Johnson, it starts getting really interesting, and there's where it starts, getting hooked and everything. But it still gets pretty, the way they are not really all that good, especially when Wetley just takes over the facility, which really feels kind of stupid, to be honest, and ridiculous. But whatever. I mean, it is kind of stupid and ridiculous because he's a personality core and he didn't act like that before, and then all of a sudden he switches personality. But I thought his personality core should just be that, a personality core. If you're gonna compare them to those personality cores that were in the end of the game and the personality cores in the Portal, then he's not a personality core. But that's just me. So so we can kind of say that he ruins the fucking atmosphere. He doesn't really ruin the atmosphere, but he doesn't fit in the atmosphere. How he acts, and mainly how he switches personality after the middle of the game, which is very not good. So in conclusion with the story, the atmosphere is not really a problem anymore. Gladys will insult reality, hate you all the time, but that's just part of the atmosphere, which means it's always there, which if you compare it to the first game, which is solely dependent on how long the player took from finishing all the tests. If the player took a long time, then the atmosphere will get to them. If not, then the atmosphere won't get to them. But you can also say in Portal 2 that we're trying a bit too hard. In the first quarter game, it's not really all that good, but in the middle of the game, when you meet Cave Johnson and his assistant, it starts getting really interesting. But the only thing you can kind of say that's the downfall of that is that they never really take it up later. But well, they kind of do, but not really Cave Johnson anymore. And of course, with the characters, some may sound pretty stupid and dumb, but it's all part of this atmosphere, so you can't really say it's a bad thing or anything. With Wetley, in the beginning of the game, they were trying a bit. Then they were trying too hard on making him connected to the player, and he died, and you didn't fucking matter because he was just an annoying piece of shit. And then he came back, and then he started to get a good character. Then he turned into this, switches personality completely, and it feels so out of place, but he doesn't feel like a personality core anymore. But that's just me. And then, well, you send enough to space, and he still doesn't feel like a personality core. But then he shifts his personality again. But then That's just me. Oh, and also when you enter the early stages of the at science, I mean when you get thrown down to hell, I guess the atmosphere switches. In, I mean the problem was that in the first quarter game you didn't really have a goal to keep you hooked in the game. I mean, yeah, the goal is always to escape, but you escaped in the first game. What so you only you used to escape and now you're back in the entire hell, so maybe that's not a legitimate goal. But later when you fall into hell, it starts getting more interesting with Cave Johnson, and then it shifts its personality and you get a goal you want to find, because it's interesting. They don't really give you anything to, I mean, they give you something to play around with, but and of course it's a roller coaster story, and a simple roller coaster story. It's nothing really to think about. Yeah, they give you some things to think about, but it never really confirms them. I mean, they do confirm some of them, of course, but not really all of them. I mean, of course, they confirm some of the things they take up, but not all of the things they take up. But with conclusion with the whole game, if you're going to compare Portal 1 and Portal 2, it's all about a question of quality versus quantity, quality being Portal and quantity being Portal 2. Because everything the Portal did, it did good. But with Portal 2, they did a lot of fucking shit, but not really all of them was so good. I mean, wasn't that high of quality, to be honest. So that's the main difference between those two games. With the gameplay, they took away the challenge of solving the puzzle. There are no advanced chambers anymore, and the only challenge mode is beat your friends. It's not, first place, second place, and third place anymore. It's just beat your friends, which also this co-op things going to play. I didn't play co-op because, well, I didn't have time with it, and nobody wanted to play the fucking piece of shit game. Not because they have doesn't like the game or anything, but no, they play other fucking games. But if the game solely depends on the co-op, then why didn't I get an extra copy when I bought the fucking game? I mean, if the game depended solely on the co-op, that the co-op part is the golden thing, but they still have a single player mode, then why isn't it buy one get one free, get one another free then? Because wasn't that the whole point playing co-op? I mean, it's not like Left 4 Dead when the whole game is co-op. This game have a single player mode. I mean, of course, in fucking Left 4 Dead you have single player mode, but it's exactly the same game. While here it's two completely different games, to be honest. But I don't know. Either way, maybe it's completely different. I don't know, but I only played a single player game, and it was fucking easy. And they didn't, they took away the whole challenge, no advanced chambers, anything. I mean, Portal 1 was quite easy as well, but it had these advanced chambers in this challenge, and I mean, least amount of portals, least step and time. But Portal 2 didn't have those. Especially advanced chambers, they didn't have advanced chambers, so that means that no, it's actually pretty easy because of that. I mean, you can say it's pretty easy because of that. I mean, if you don't still understand, one thing to say is that Portal 1 wasn't a hard game. I mean, it was quite easy as well, but Portal 1 had advanced chambers and challenge modes, while Portal 2 didn't have them. So therefore you can say that Portal 1 is really easy because they didn't even give an option of playing it on a harder difficulty or making the game harder or anything. The relation with this whole facility is better in this game because you truly see now how gigantic this facility is, especially when you go through those early parts of the facility, when you're really at the bottom of the fucking facility. And instead of feeling a relationship to those characters, you feel a more relationship to the facility because you've mostly seen everything really. You have seen the boring fucking allows. What brings to another thing, the Half-Life thing. Of course, the only thing you could expect from Portal 2 was Half-Life because, like I said in Portal 1, there were no loose ends in Portal 1. And yes, they did, add some new things with the Half-Life universe, but, it's okay. I mean, it still, had a motivation in the end. I mean, this interesting part with Cave Johnson and all that shit. And also, the only thing that I say is very good, to be honest, and why really the game is so good like it is, it's because of the ending. The ending is actually very fucking good. It's on a whole different level as the rest as the rest of the game really. It's really fucking good. Because this whole thing, I mean the whole goal with the fucking game is escaping. But they didn't really have anything, in Portal 2 because you have already escaped, but they just pulled you back in. But eventually, when you escape in this part, they make a very big deal out of it. And that's good because it was a big deal. Because during the whole course of the game, you see light, you see the sun, you hear birds, you grass, everything, and eventually they, end with this big finale, and it's very fucking good. And that's why Portal 2 is a great game. Other than that, it's actually just a good game to be honest. But I mean, a good game just like Portal 1 was, but it's really great because of the ending. Because in comparison, when you're gonna compare the ending with Portal 1, then no, Portal 2's ending is so much fucking better. But if you're gonna compare the whole game, then it's like I said before, it's a matter of quantity versus quality. Something with maybe with the gameplay though is that it isn't. You can say it's short, but it isn't really that short in how much the gameplay is. I mean, the gameplay survives the whole game. To be honest, it's exactly as Portal 1. I mean, the content survives the lead of the game, or maybe it did. I don't remember with Portal 1. But you could say that it can become boring because of it being too easy. And then yes, it's very easy to be honest, and that's kind of a big flaw there. Um, but most of the time you're not even playing the game, you're just running around shooting easy portals of just navigating the whole fucking place because they wanted to have more of a story, which wasn't really all that good, until the end. Of course, in one quarter of the game, I mean some sequence of the game, you have a lot of conversation with GLaDOS, you know, more closely. Um, and I wouldn't say that it really didn't make the character any better because you didn't talk to her that much, to be honest. So no, it didn't really matter in that. It didn't really have a big, emphasis of the fucking universe or anything really. She was there and she, acted around you and she wasn't really there to be honest. She just commenting sometimes. So it didn't really matter. It wasn't a big deal. The biggest deal was the ending, which was very fucking good. So yeah, Portal 2. I don't think I have forgotten everything. I'm very fucking tired though, because the game was very fucking short, so I continued playing it instead of going to fucking bed. So Portal 2, it's a great game, but mainly because of the ending. Because of the ending, it's a great game. Other than that, no, it's just a good game. But with the ending, which it have an ending, it's a great game. And in comparison, if you're gonna compare them Portal 1 and Portal 2, then it's a matter of quantity versus quality, really. And quality being Portal 1 and quantity being Portal 2. Portal 2, it's a great game.